The first major project for the publicly owned Great British Energy will make an investment of £200 million to fund solar panels on hundreds of schools and NHS sites around the UK.
Very big and exciting project. And Energy Secretary Ed Miliband joins us now. We're going to talk about the solar panels, of course, Ed, and lots of other things, but we do have to start with the ongoing story at Heathrow. I mean, extraordinary situation, devastating for lots of people's plans, personal and professional, but also extraordinary that a fire at a substation could wipe out our biggest airport, hugely important for our economy. It makes us feel like our energy system is rather fragile.
Well, thanks so much, Kate, and good morning. Good to be with you. Look, first of all, I want to say my heart goes out to all of those passengers coming into Heathrow, due to be leaving Heathrow today, who've had their lives and plans so badly disrupted. I've spoken to National Grid this morning. We've seen a catastrophic fire, as you've been reporting, at the substation. It not only affecting the generation from the substation, but as I understand it, some backup generation which was in place. National Grid are working as hard as they can to restore the power, but obviously we're going to have to learn lessons about why this happened, first of all, and secondly, whether sufficient resilience was in place at a major institution like Heathrow.
And you've been talking about that. I suppose that you know, we've discussed Heathrow, haven't we, so much recently, being touted at the expansion as good for the economy and good for growth. Does it make you question whether, you know, I know you were very against that extra runway, but does it make you question whether actually there should be more airports in more places? As people find themselves stranded, we're getting things in this morning diverted to France, diverted to other parts of Europe, people stranded in America and all over the place. Does it make you think, actually, we need a different kind of system?
Well, I don't think one should jump to conclusions at this stage, Kate. I think what it makes me believe is we've got to understand why this happened, and we've got to work out what the lessons are for the resilience of our infrastructure. I mean, National Grid, in their conversation with me this morning, said it's like a fire. They've never kind of quite seen anything like the scale of what happened before, and it was the seriousness of the fire which knocked out the backup as well. But it makes Heathrow look quite vulnerable, and therefore, and we've got to learn lessons, as I say, about not just Heathrow, but how we protect our major infrastructure.
Mr. Miliband, is there any sort of suggestion of what the cause of the fire is? A lot of people, you know, are coming up with all sorts of theories this morning, I suspect. But, I mean, are we ruling out any foul play at all at this point, or is everything on the table?
Well, look, there's no evidence of foul play, but obviously, Adil, though the priority at the moment is to get the fire out, restore the power, and then, as with anything like this, and it is relatively unprecedented, there'll be a proper look at what caused it. But there's no suggestion that's been put to me of foul play.
OK. Let's talk about what you want to talk about this morning, which is the announcing this £200 million of investments in solar panels for schools and hospital roofs to save money on energy bills. £80 million will go towards 200 primary schools. There are nearly 17,000 primary schools in England, though. So, in reality, Mr Miliband, this is just going to help 1% of schools. That's not exactly groundbreaking. It's not going to make that much of an impact, is it?
Well, it is going to have a massive impact for the schools and hospitals that will be helped. And let me tell you what the plan is, Adil, because at the moment...
1%?
At the moment, you've got many schools and hospitals facing sky-high energy bills as a result of our dependence on fossil fuels. Those fossil fuel markets, you see gas prices going up. This will cut bills for schools, 200 hospitals, a 300% increase in the coverage of solar panels in terms of the NHS, in terms of hospitals. The average cut in the bill will be £25,000 for a school, £45,000 for a hospital. I was talking to a head teacher here in Sheffield, and we're visiting the school today. They have solar panels. They're one of the few schools that does. It's cut £40,000 from their energy bill, as he put it to me, about the equivalent of the salary of a special needs teacher. This shows how our publicly owned energy company investing in schools and hospitals, investing in solar panels, abundant, cheap energy, can help our public services.
I mean, it's obviously laudable. I can't imagine anyone's going to think it's a bad idea. But we've already hearing this morning that the growth figures have been revised down. People are fearful that the Chancellor's spring statement is actually going to be more of an emergency budget. Are you confident you're still going to have your £8 billion investment into this? And actually, are you going to have the power and the money to continue making the difference, even if it is, as Adel said, to 1%?
Yes, I am confident, Kate, because the Chancellor and Prime Minister both believe, as do I, that investing in the clean energy transition is crucial for jobs. You know, I was at a new heat pump factory in Derby yesterday. 200 jobs being created as a result of the clean energy transition. We've got investments in carbon capture and storage, creating thousands of jobs. This is not just about climate change. This is not just about doing the right thing for the planet in the long term and for future generations. This is about how we grow our economy. The Chancellor often says we need stability, we need reform, and we need investment. And this is about investing in the future. Lots of it private investment, some of it public investment, to create those good jobs of the future that so many people want to see.
In the meantime, all our energy bills are going up, aren't they? In a month, going up by 6% in many cases. You famously said you would cut £300 from people's energy bills before the election and immediately after. When are people going to see that?
Well, look, we're sticking to our pledge to cut bills by up to £300 by 2030, Kate. And the reason bills are going up, and it's really important to understand this, is because we've seen international gas prices go up by something like 15% from one quarter to another. And this underlines the point that we've got to get these solar panels up, these wind turbines up, this infrastructure built. And we are working absolutely as hard as we can, as fast as we can to do that. You know, you'll have seen there's opposition to some of our plans on building the transmission infrastructure, the pylons. People say, well, why do we need them? Well, the reason we need them is precisely because at the moment we are on this roller coaster of global fossil fuel markets. Until we have cheap homegrown power connected to people's homes, we can't get bills down. We're working as hard as we can to make that happen.
Mr. Miliband, just want to bring up Gaza with you. I thought this week was an incredible moment, actually, from the Foreign Secretary, David Lammy, who was very strong with his language in the House of Commons, condemning the actions on the 18th of March this week. He said it's been the worst day of this war. UNICEF quoting 180 children died in one single day. You, when you were leader of the opposition, called on the government at the time to do more, to condemn more. Do you think your government is doing enough now? We have heard that an English national was wounded in the UN compound that Israel bombed. That is one of our citizens. If that doesn't bring this close to home, what will? Are we doing enough as a UK government, do you think?
Well, we are, and we are. Look, I take this situation, and we take the situation incredibly seriously, what is happening in Gaza. Adil, and what you are saying and what we have seen this week is deeply, deeply disturbing. But that's why David Lammy, Keir Starmer are working so hard to get this ceasefire restored, because that's what the people of, well, the people of Israel and, frankly, the people of Gaza need. With the greatest of urgency, we need this to happen. And the right thing to be doing as a government is to be working diplomatically behind the scenes to do everything we can, including with the United States, to get this ceasefire restored.
Is there a red line, though, for the government? If a ceasefire... the ceasefire has been broken, and we can argue that Hamas have contributed to that as well as Israel, but is there a red line? Do we hold Israel to account at any point? Is that on the table for the UK government?
Well, you're right to point out the Hamas rocket attacks, that the ceasefire, hasn't held on either side, and it's right to say that. But absolutely, we hold Israel to account as we would every country. And I do that. David Lammy does that. The Prime Minister does that. But the key thing, given our role as a country, is to be the people, the honest brokers, trying to make sure that we get this ceasefire restored. That's the thing people need most of all. That's the thing the people of Gaza need most of all. It is incredibly urgent. Adil, you're completely right to raise it, if I may say so. And it is something that the government is working tirelessly to seek to make happen.
Okay.
Good to speak to you this morning.
We really
Good luck.
appreciate your time. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Absolutely.
Thanks so much. Thank you.